The wind carried ash across the plains of Arathia, drifting over shattered temples and broken towers. Once this kingdom had been the jewel of the ancient world, its palaces brighter than the stars, its rivers richer than silver. But pride corrodes even the strongest crown, and the story of King Tharion is the story of how a kingdom turned to dust. Tharion was not born cruel. In his youth he was brave, beloved, and guided by a vision of greatness. He rode at the head of his armies, defended his borders, and brought peace where there had been chaos. But with each victory came adoration, and with adoration came arrogance. The man who once listened to his people grew deaf to their cries. His crown became not a burden of duty, but a shield against doubt. His palace stood like a mountain above the Serpent River, its towers piercing the sky, its walls carved with runes older than memory. Inside, treasures from 100 wars lay scattered across golden floors. It was a monument not to the strength of the kingdom, but to the hunger of the man who ruled it. One night, Tharion held a feast to celebrate his conquest of the Eastern Highlands. The hall blazed with firelight, banners draped from pillars, and nobles raised cups carved from sapphire. Music echoed, soldiers roared, and the king sat upon his throne like a god of stone. But an old man entered quietly. His robes were torn, his eyes lit with the faint glow of prophecy. He knelt before the king and whispered, "Beware, great Tharion. Every crown lifted too high will fall. You will not end in glory, but in fire." The hall froze. The laughter stopped. But Tharion only laughed louder, his voice like thunder. "Old fool," he spat. "I am Tharion the Unbroken. No storm can move me." He ordered the man dragged away. That night the ground shuddered. In the east, mountains split and rivers boiled with ash. The prophecy had begun. Months turned into years of suffering. Crops withered, wells dried, and plague spread across villages. Armies returned defeated. Mothers buried children. Smoke rose from every corner of the land. But Tharion refused to bend. He built new towers instead of feeding the hungry. He taxed his people into ruin, demanded loyalty under pain of death, and clung to his crown as if its weight could hold back the tide of misery. Even those closest to him began to break. His queen Leora, once his brightest companion, pleaded with him to lay down the throne. His generals warned him that rebellion brewed. His priests wept before his steps, but Tharion's pride burned hotter than any flame. At last the rebellion rose. It was led by General Kaelin, Tharion's most trusted commander. For 20 years, Kaelin had fought for his king, his blade stained with loyalty and sacrifice, but he could no longer watch. His people starved while the king drank from jeweled goblets. On a moonless night, Kaelin marched upon the palace. His soldiers carried torches that flickered across the dark plains like a sea of stars. From the walls, Tharion watched, his jaw set, his eyes unblinking. Leora came to him one final time. Her golden hair was tied in mourning, her voice heavy with sorrow. "Tharion," she whispered, "end this before all is lost. Lay down the crown. Hear your people. Save what remains." But he turned to her, his face hard. "Without the crown, I am nothing. I would rather burn than bend." The battle shook the heavens. Arrows darkened the sky, the walls cracked under fire, and the palace that had once rung with music now trembled with screams. Tharion fought like a man possessed, his sword striking with the fury of storms. He cut through soldier after soldier, his cloak torn, his crown slipping from his head. In the great hall, Kaelin confronted him. The two men who had once shared brotherhood met now as enemies. "Tharion," Kaelin said, lowering his blade for a breath, "let this end. Come with me. We can rebuild what has been lost." But Tharion's roar shook the chamber. "There is no rebuilding. There is only the crown, and it is mine until death." Steel clashed against steel. Sparks lit the shadows. For hours, they fought beneath the shattered banners of their youth. Finally, Kaelin's blade struck true. The king fell to his knees, blood darkening his robes. The crown slipped from his head, rolling across the stone floor. His trembling hand reached for it, but it clattered into the darkness. For the first time, Tharion wept. His voice broke into the smoke-filled hall. "I was a king, but I forgot how to be a man." The palace burned. Towers collapsed, flames swallowed the walls, and the night sky glowed with ruin. The people fled, their kingdom reduced to ashes. Kaelin sheathed his sword and swore never to wear a crown. Leora vanished into the mountains, her fate unknown. By dawn, the kingdom of Arathia was no more. Only ruins remained, scattered stones where children would one day play. And in the whispers of the wind, the story lived on, a warning that pride consumes even the mightiest, and no crown is heavy enough to hold back the judgment of time. Thus ended Therion the Unbroken, broken at last, not by his enemies, but by his own pride.